In this video, we're going to work our way through the Chapter 10 worksheet on double declining balance depreciation. So let's go. Number one, we got a purchase price of $10,000. Shipping is set up at $2,000. So we want to work on depreciating $12,000. It's going to be over 4 years. It's going to have a $1,000 salvage value, we estimate. So step one, what's our straight line rate? We're going to take 100% divided by 4 years. Our straight line rate then is 25%. But this is double declining balance. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take our 25% and we're going to double it to 50%. Now remember, the whole point here is to accelerate the depreciation, to depreciate a lot in the earlier years, because that way I get a bigger tax deduction in my earlier years, and money that I get today is worth more to me, or a deduction that I get today is worth more to me than a deduction I get several years from now. So that's the whole point. It's just to maximize the depreciation. Okay, so let's do this. We bought the thing. Our book value is exactly $12,000. All right, we have nothing else going on. Okay, year one, what are we going to do? Our beginning book value, remember what we're going to do here. We're always going to depreciate based on this year's book value. That's why it's called declining balance, because the balance is going to go down. Our starting book value is $12,000. Our depreciation rate is 50%. So our depreciation expense this year is going to be $6,000, 50% of $12,000. Our accumulated, because we're going to debit depreciation expense and credit accumulated, is going to be $6,000, and our book value is down to $6,000. Now our journal entry for this year is right. That first year is what? Depreciation expense, $6,000. Accumulated depreciation, $6,000. It's year two. What's our beginning book value? This year's beginning book value is last year's ending book value, so it's $6,000. Our depreciation rate is 50%. So our depreciation expense is going to be 50% of $6,000, or $3,000. We're going to debit a depreciation expense for $3,000, credit accumulation for $3,000. So our accumulated will be this year's $3,000 and last year's $6,000 for a total of $9,000. Our book value is down to $3,000. Now, much like the other methods, we have to keep our eyes peeled here for the salvage value. We can't go below a salvage value of $1,000. We're at 3 now. So let's look at what's happening this year. Our beginning book value is $3,000. Our depreciation rate is 50%. 50% of $3,000 is $1,500. So far, so good. So we've got another $1,500 in accumulated depreciation. $9,000 plus $1,500 is $10,500. Our book value is now down to $1,500. How are we doing? Oh, still have a little ways to go, right? Now, what's the beginning book value? $1,500. Depreciation rate is 50%. So tentatively, our depreciation expense is 50% of $1,500, or $750. But when I take my $750 from my book value, I'm going to have $750 as my ending book value, and I can't go that low. It's got to stop at $1,000, doesn't it? Has to stop at $1,000. So how much can I take this year? $1,500 minus $1,000. I can only take $500 this year, no matter how much I'd like to take, which is going to stop my accumulated depreciation at $11,000 and my book value at $1,000, where it should. So again, the whole point is let's maximize our depreciation expense in the early years over the other methods to get our deductions now for tax purposes. But we have to be watching this ending book value. Can't go below the salvage. All right, let's look at number 2 then. Number 2, purchase price $17,000, shipping and setup $2,000. The cost basis then is $19,000. Salvage value is $3,000. So where do we have to stop? $3,000. Straight line rate, it's a 4-year asset, so 100% divided by 4 years gives me a 25% straight line rate. This is double declining balance, so I'm going to take my 25%, I'm going to double it, and use a 50% rate for double declining balance depreciation. So when I bought this asset, my book value was $19,000. First year, my starting depreciable basis then is $19,000. My rate is 50%. So my depreciation expense is going to be $19,000 divided by 50%, which is $9,500. That's my accumulated for this year. So my book value is $9,500 again. What's my journal entry for this year? Debit depreciation expense for $9,500 and credit accumulated depreciation for $9,500. Year 2, what's my beginning book value? What's last year's ending? So the book value starts at $9,500. My depreciation rate is 50%. So my depreciation expense is going to be 50% of $9,500, which is $4,750, I believe. So my accumulated depreciation is going to be $9,500 minus the $4,750 I depreciated this year. $4,750 was this year's, plus $9,500 accumulated from last year, $14,250 in accumulated for a book value of $4,750. Okay, year 3. Now what are we watching for? 3,000 here, right? It's got to stop when the book value reaches 3,000. So year 3, beginning book value is $4,750. Rate is 50%. Depreciation expense, what's $4,750 times 50%? $2,375. Which gives me a accumulated of $14,250. For an accumulated of $16,625. I subtract that from my initial $19,000. 16,625 minus 19,000 equals $2,375. Can't do it. Can't do it. We have to stop at a salvage value of $3,000. So since I have to stop at $3,000, that won't work. What can I do? Oh, that's $30,000. That's not $3,000. What can I do? Well, $4,750 minus $3,000 meaning is so I can take $1,750 in depreciation this year, leaving me $16,000 in accumulated book value of $3,000. I don't get the last year's depreciation, but I don't really care. I maximized the depreciation in the early years and maximized my tax deductions. And that's double declining balance.